Hello, this is What's All About, and here we're having a look at the latest version of the Helm Vanuatu. So I reviewed this a couple of years ago, the version 1, and it was good. It was priced at $350, but it had little bits of refinements here and there required. The finishing wasn't quite up to the standard that it should be. Now, however, Helm have released a version 2 of the Vanuatu, and that is this very watch I have in my hands here. So we're going to go through the improvements, and it's also worth thinking about the fact that the price has dropped from $350 to $275. So that equates to around £225. So that's quite interesting. Obviously, the first watch was still a decent watch, but this one, hopefully, after we've gone through the improvements, a better watch at a cheaper price. So that's good to keep in mind. Okay, so the improvements one by one then. Firstly, the bezel has a lot of improvement. So it's the mechanism itself. It's has firmer ratcheting. The mechanism has been upgraded to have firmer ratcheting and less wiggle and back play. And you can see I'm trying to wiggle it here, and it is very, very firm indeed. And if I actually give it a decent go, then it starts rotating, and I don't know if you can hear the click in there, but it does give a very satisfying click, and it feels very good in the hand. So that is definitely a very good improvement. I know some people really appreciate a decent bezel and a mechanism, so this is certainly one to impress those people. In addition to this, the general insert is improved, so it's got a much better finishing. I believe it was a little bit touchy here and there, but this is very nice and accurate. We'll have a look at it in closer detail with the macro lens on in a bit. So the hands, that's another improvement. So they're filled rather than solid hands. So it just basically means that we have a better amount of lume provided on them to match the lume of the hour markers as well. Have a look at the written review to see a picture of the lume in action. So that's good. Whilst we're talking about lume, the lume used across the entire watch is now super luminova. So it is very strong, charges well, and it looks good as well. Again, look at the pictures because you can see the lume in action there, and it's cool that it's basically, got a lot of lume going on. So we've got all these everything on the bezel insert is lumed as well. Obviously our outer markers and our hands as well, and we have a nice little disc on the seconds hand as well. So that's nice. Our next upgrade is the case back. So as you can see here, we have a very nice deep stamped center with the Helm logo, and then some engraved information around the outside. So the last case back was sort of like engraved slash laser etched, quite lightly engraved, so it wasn't very impressive to look at, whereas this obviously is definitely a step up. The design is still quite simple and cool, tool-like if you will, but the way it's done is a lot better, so a lot more machining, so it's a better impression. Okay, the next one is the crown. So we have really nice teeth on the crown, great grip as well. So if I unscrew it, so there we have nice decent grip on the crown, very, very well machined as well. So that's our next improvement. And finally, talking about the straps. So the leather strap itself is more or less exactly the same. We have the same buckle, but the improvements can actually be found on the bracelet. So if I open up the bracelet, here is how you have the watch provided. Have an extra NATO strap as well, which is nice. So the actual bracelet itself. So the bracelet itself is much has been refined a lot. So much better in terms of machining finishing and quality. It's very silky and smooth like butter, mainly because of the type of links that have been used. But you can just tell that the general quality of finishing has been upgraded, so that's good to know. We have very decent solid end links that have been used. So two of the primary upgrades that Helm have informed me about are the usage of much thicker spring bars. So these are the stock ones that come, so you can see they're nice and thick, decent quality. And then also the upgrade to screw in pins rather than just push in pins. So you can see here we have our nice decent screws, and you can see how nice and nicely they're like flush to the link as well, and they don't show up on the other side, which is a nice little touch as well. So yeah, so far so good. Let's have a look at it in closer detail with the macro lens, just discuss those upgrades in closer detail. So let's have a look at the bezel. I mean, you can't really you can see the level of finishing, very accurate. There we go. Nice decent grip on the bezel as well. And as I rotate it, you can see it clicking in place at every stop. Here's the crown. Nice thick teeth as well. There you go. Very well machined, very tool-like. Moving on to the case back, so here's the deep stamped H Helm logo, looking good, and the details engraved around the outside. The hands themselves, there we go. Nice decent finish on them as well, and the loomed hour markers, neatly done. No major issues whatsoever around there either. So moving on to the bracelet. Here's our nice five link bracelet. So there's the screws. And the top of the buckle. And if we have a look at one of these, oh yeah, it's one of the pin screws. Pretty nicely done, and one of these decent fat spring bars as well. And finally the end link. There we go. Nicely machined, eh? Okay, so as I mentioned before, the version 1, you know, fairly good, decent watch for the money, $350. With these upgrades though, I can wholeheartedly say it definitely is a much better timepiece, and at a cheaper price, so you can't really knock that at all. I think for £225, it's pretty hard to beat, because, you know, when you think about the specs overall, 300 meter water resistance, decent thick sapphire crystal, a Seiko NH35A movement, you get leather strap and a bracelet as well. Generally, you know, very well sturdy build quality. So, you know, it's a very solid watch, and one that I really enjoy wearing on a regular occasion. So it looks the part, and it feels the part as well, and for the price you can't go wrong at all. So this was the Helm Vanuatu version 2, and that's what it's all about.